Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to Breakfast with Bobby. I'm Christina Bloom. I'm your co-host, along with my friend Bobby Klebano. And you know what? Today is a shoot the shit day. What do you got, Bobby?
Oh my God, I have a lot of shit to shoot.
Awesome.
My, I'm just a straight a shit shooter, or whatever just shooting it around.
Awesome. Well, now that we've confused everyone in the English-speaking world, what's up?
Correct. Oh, it's been a while since we've actually done one of these, and
Hmm.
so much has changed, and so much is the same, and growth is always a good thing. I reluctantly, actually, for years and years, you and I have hung out forever,
Hmm.
and seems many of my friends are in the spiritual world, and I seem to be collecting shamans in my energetic field, and they are good friends and stuff. And it just became really obvious that I needed something more, and I needed to know how to do things. And even more than that, I needed to grow. I needed to heal a lot of wounds. I needed to grow. The self-growth field is big,
Hmm.
and if you don't take care of yourself, no one else will.
Right.
And so my quest has been to heal many of the wounds that I really didn't understand that I had
Hmm.
um, as of late. And I think I mentioned a long time ago that I really didn't take into account how much my mother's death affected me,
Hmm.
and my whole world turned upside down after that. I
Right.
I don't know. I suppose I was angry with her. I was little, I was 10, 11, something like that. Um, just all of the getting lost in the shuffle and growing up kind of in a hard way and
Hmm.
growing up too fast. And so I didn't get a chance to be a kid. And on and on. We could talk about that for hours. But
Right.
anyway, I know how you feel about people who say that they're shamans and they're really not. And I'm really trying. I'm never going to say that because I'm not a shaman. Anyway, the long and the short of it, I enrolled in shamanic practitioner school up in Green Bay,
Hmm.
Golden Light. It is called Whispers on the Wind.
Okay.
Um, Amy Walensky is the instructor, and she runs a really great program.
That's awesome.
So embarking on the first direction was incredibly big. I can't say anything more about it because that's all the further I've gotten, but there are four directions, as you know,
Mhm.
and you go through the directions one at a time. In each one of the classes is 4 days. So I have completed formally my first direction, and it was incredibly healing, incredibly life changing. Um, and again, as I reflect on some of my journeys, you go through a lot of journeys throughout the 4 days, and as a practitioner, you are holding space for other practitioners and other people who are healing as well. Um, I can't, I just can't even begin to tell you the depth of the healing that I had gone through and the journeys that were uh, lengthy and very effective and very meaningful. And I feel much lighter than I have in years. Interestingly enough, the journeys are quite in depth, and you are uh, working on yourself the entire time. So while you're doing that, you may or may not be going through some things internally and externally. And a girl from across the room came up to me after one of my journeys. Actually, it was my first one. And she said, "Wow," she said, "you really had a great release there." And I'm thinking, she was way across the room. How does she know that? I'm thinking, uh-oh. So,
Maybe
um,
she's just very intuitive.
oh, look at that. Who knew? An intuitive class of sorts.
Why would anybody intuitive take that class? I don't know.
I know, right? But it's really an incredibly humbling uh, and healing journey. And there are 27 people in my class. and 8 of them are guys. And so the whole field of shamanic practicing is getting more popular and larger and more spread out. And it goes literally across the world. You know,
Hmm.
this particular lineage originates in Peru. So there may or may not be a trip to Peru in my future, maybe
That would be
next year.
cool.
Yeah.
That would be cool.
So, and interestingly enough, you know, you've heard me talk about Alberto Valdo,
Hmm.
who is the shaman from Peru, and I've followed him for years and years and years. Amy trained with him, and I'm envious of that. She is, wow. I-
Yeah.
I've trained
Envy.
with him too, but
Yeah.
online, you know,
Yeah.
I don't get to meet him, but
Right. Well, you might at some
it's
point.
maybe, oh, it's so just the stuff, you know, and I, Christina, you and I have lived parallel lives and intertwined each other for years and years and years. And um, you are a very quiet soul and typical of natives, Native
Hmm.
Americans. They're very quiet. They don't tell you what they know. It's
That's true.
you know, and every time I do things, you just kind of shake your head. Yeah, 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 yeah. And you've already known this stuff. And I'm like, why didn't she teach me that? Because I didn't
Um,
ask.
you didn't ask.
I
That
didn't
is
ask.
the answer. You didn't ask.
Yes.
I would like to share an experience that I had with you late last week when you came over to my home. And by the way, it was Bobby's birthday, so happy birthday. And
Thank you.
she actually came over on her birthday and did a healing on me. So there you go. But she had done what she learned in the class, and it was moving. It helped me move some things out of my body. I know I didn't have a big emotional release, I think, like you were expecting. But I think I've been doing this long enough where I just kind of process it as I go and I release as I go. And, but I did have some releases as far as some belief systems that I've had and some releasing that I've done with that while we were working together.
Yeah.
And you know, it's funny because I'd been doing this a really long time, 25 years. I've
Yeah.
been dabbling in this. Not dabbling, but you know, well, it started out probably dabbling. But um, as I've been going through this process over the last 2.5 decades, I have been learning more as I go, and I've been healing more as I go. And I think that every time that we come up to the opportunity to work with somebody and have another level of healing, another level of understanding or comprehending, I think it's a great thing that we do it. It doesn't matter how long we've been doing it, you know. I used to work, I mean, I've been doing like past life stuff, Akashic Record stuff for years.
Yeah.
And in doing so, I have worked with not just myself, but many of other people in releasing a vow of poverty. And it occurred
Mm.
to me when I was working with you, I don't have to release a vow I didn't actually take. I mean, I did at one point release that years ago, but I released an agreement to living in lack. I released an agreement to self limitation. I released an agreement to self sacrifice. And those things were things that have been kind of coming up to the surface, but have been buried very deep for a very long time.
You know, Marcus Casanich is another one of my mentors, and I have
Hmm.
to reflect on something he said to me, which coincides with what you were saying. He told me once, just quite a while ago, and has repeated it a few times. Apparently, I have a block sometimes, and I just don't get it. So the what he was saying to me was, and recently he wrote a piece on that, an article, and it was you have a choice of whether or not you're going to struggle. Struggle is not part of what you have to do. It's
Right.
a choice. And so I have to keep reminding myself of that too, because
Hmm.
I'm in a happy place. But then when you are with people who are not so happy and they don't approve of what you do. They don't necessarily, it's judgmental and all of these other attributes. You have to ask yourself, why did I agree to continue to endure this?
Mm-hmm.
And why am I struggling about it? Just move out of the way, get out of
Right.
the way and go somewhere else that you're
Right.
happier. And so the question that I have for you about what you were just saying is,
Yeah.
who was that agreement with? Was
Myself.
that's okay,
It was with myself. And it really becomes, it's not like I sat down one day and went, okay, I'm going to agree to self-sacrifice. It's not how it works.
right. Yeah,
It,
you're right.
it is, it is a series of life events and experiences that usually start in childhood before you're too young to even understand that you're agreeing to something. You learn a pattern, and that's an agreement.
Yes, and you also are taught to suck it up, so to speak, to
Yes.
be tough. And that's how I learned also. It was
Mm-hmm.
my job to just be tough.
Yep. You
And
just be tough and you don't cry and you don't show emotions and nobody wants to hear it anyway. And all of these little lies that we were told along the way, because there are people
right,
who want to hear about it. There are people who want to be able to say to you, you don't have to live that way. There are people who want to help,
yes,
you
they
know,
know better. They've
they know
they've
better.
learned more than we have at that point in time. But
Yeah. And probably
um,
because they had similar experiences and learned, so they're sharing it.
right. And so my entire weekend was about releasing trauma and all the things that most of the things I had gone through.
Hmm.
Uh, I realized my father didn't know what to do with me.
Right.
I was number five out of six kids, and uh, I was the little girl who, was kind of doted on and dressed up in little dresses and stuff. Although when I realized a little later that that kind of sucked because I couldn't do cartwheels and I couldn't do somersaults because, my dress was up and then I'd get yelled at and all of these other little things. But anyway,
Hmm.
we take on so much of what other people say we have to take on.
Hmm.
Um, and it's a mold. It's molding us into ways that if we had a choice, if we knew we had a choice and really embodied the word freedom,
Hmm.
unless you're killing somebody or,
Hurting
something drastic
somebody or,
or
yeah.
hurting someone, right? You should have the freedom to be who you are. And that's what I'm learning now. Well,
Hmm.
that only took 67 years, but I'm getting it slow but
But here's
sure.
the question. We when we realize that we have the freedom to be who we are, how do we know who that is? Because very often we don't.
Yes.
It's a matter, and at that point it almost becomes more a matter of choosing who we're going to be rather than discovering who we are.
Yes. Yes. You get to mold yourself into what you want to be.
Hmm.
But there are attributes that you have inherently inside of yourself
Hmm.
that are who you are, who is your soul. And as
Hmm.
I went through the weekend, reflecting on my 10-year-old and 11-year-old self, I realized that I've been a nature person and really immersed in the outside world for a very long time. I had
Yeah.
no idea how intuitive I was even as a kid. But you just keep stuffing it down because you don't know any better. And you're with people who are not like that. And so they tell you that you're wrong and you shouldn't
Yeah.
feel that way. And
I
you
had
just
the
keep sucking
advantage
it
of
up.
growing up in the woods, I think. I mean, there wasn't a whole lot of advantage in my childhood, I'll be honest about that. But being immersed in nature where I lived is definitely an advantage I had. I mean, I could go out in the woods for hours. Nobody even cared. Nobody watched. Nobody looked for me because
Yeah.
they assumed I was safe in the woods. And for the most part, I think I was.
Did it bother you when you realized that you sort of knew that nobody really cared, or you sort of felt that nobody really cared where you were, or nobody did it bother you? I mean,
You
in
know what?
life,
It wasn't a personal thing. My whole generation was like, go outside and play, come back when the
yeah,
lights go on.
yeah,
You know, I mean, so
get that.
it was a generational thing, and I think your generation had some of that too, because you are.
a lot.
technically in a generation that's, the one before mine. So, but I feel like maybe your generation was more pushed. I mean, we were pushed to work early, don't get me wrong, but I feel like your generation was even more so. Like childhood did not matter at all. You know,
Right.
my parents and my parents' generation were all about just go out and play, get out of my hair, don't want to see you, don't want to hear you, don't want to, don't want to deal with you. Okay, so we went out into the woods and we built forts and we climbed through culverts and we found old abandoned buildings and
And
you
may or may
know,
not have started a fire or something.
I didn't do that. I know that. I know that. But there was so much time that we spent outdoors just hanging with the neighborhood kids, whether we were
Yes.
friends or not. That's who you hung out with because that's who was
Yes.
there,
Yes.
right? We all had our bikes. We all like got on and everybody helped each other with their bikes. You know, like if you slipped a chain or something, a friend was there to help you with it or a neighbor or whatever.
Yeah.
And, we basically grew up outside.
Yes.
We slept inside, most of us,
So,
most of the
yeah.
time.
And sometimes not.
And sometimes not. Sometimes we slept outside too, you
Right.
know?
Sometimes we built a fort underneath the picnic table and put blankets over there and made tents.
And
Yeah.
sometimes we just took a sleeping bag out in the front yard and went to sleep.
Right.
Because,
Or on the porch. Yes.
well, and the thing was, like, at least where I lived, our closest year-round neighbor was a mile away.
Mm.
Nobody was going to bother us. Nobody even knew we were there.
Well, what about the bears? Were you worried about the bears? I don't suppose
It
you were.
never occurred to me to be worried about the bears. I knew they were there, but I didn't
Mm.
think they were going to bother me because I didn't smell like berries or anything. So
Thank God.
thank God, But yeah,
What's
I
your
mean, it's
perfume, Fairy?
berry. I smell like a raspberry bush. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's like we were outside, and some of the people will tell you that they were out hunting and fishing, and that's fine. It wasn't my thing, but I was definitely out running around in the woods, riding my bike for miles. I mean, and by miles, I mean like I was 12, 13 years old and riding my bike 20, 30, 40 miles a day,
Mm.
because I had the
Mhm.
freedom to do so.
Yeah,
And
it wasn't daunting. You wanted to get
right,
from one place to another, and that's how you got there.
that's how you got there.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well,
Exactly.
I remember my father telling me one time, after my mom died, and I wanted to do sports or something
Hmm.
in school, and he said, "You can do whatever you want to do. You have to get yourself there, and you have to get yourself home."
Hmm.
So
I was told the same thing.
there
Yeah.
was that bike.
Yep. And there were a couple of years where we had snowmobiles, where we had access to snowmobiles and we could just there were times when I took my snowmobile from I mean, I realize this geography is a little funky, but Minocqua, Wisconsin has weird boundary lines. So we technically lived in Minocqua, but we had to cross parts of Lac du Flambeau to get back into Minocqua to go to school. I
Mm.
mean, we were 28 miles from school. And
Oh, wow.
yeah, and there were times when I would take the snowmobile, but I'd have to leave at like 5 a.m.
Oh,
And sometimes it was worth it not to ride the bus.
well,
So,
there's that. Yeah. Wow.
so I mean, it's everybody has like their different variations of childhood, but those are the positive things that I remember because being trapped in the house with crazy people was not the positive things.
Yeah. Right.
You know, the positive things was that I had a lot of wilderness that I could get lost in, but always found my way home. The only time I didn't find my way home is when I was with a friend who was a little frantic and I picked up on her energy. So we just walked in circles for a few hours. But, once I found the lake shore, I could find my way home.
Mm. Oh boy. Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
the things we did. Anyway, my childhood was filled with um, outside stuff, gardening,
Hmm.
trees, vegetables,
Oh,
but
yeah.
even more than that, horses. And the neighbor girl had a horse. And so we'd did a lot of stuff on, I rode a lot of horses and we never had saddles because I don't know. One, for one, it could have been expensive. Number two, who wants to take the time to do that? That, and it's uncomfortable.
And were you big enough to even lift it up over a horse?
Yeah, no, but I was
Because
big
that's
enough
the
to
other
climb
thing.
on.
Saddles are not light.
Right. And who can strap on a saddle and make sure that it doesn't turn sideways and you fly off of it?
Right.
Um, it's just easier to not use it. But anyway, so during the power animal uh, meditation, I realized that my power animal was a horse. And it was not your average horse. It was a gigantic, very large, tall, shiny, black. I don't know what it is. Maybe an Andalusian. I don't know. But he answered me when I talked to him. And I'm not really surprised that it was a horse, but after looking up what that all represents, that's about power. And my whole weekend in my journeys was all about reclaiming my power, which I've been denying and hiding and stuffing down and all of that for years.
Right.
You deny everything that you. When you are different from other people, you try because people seem to think that they have to fit in, and really our job is not to fit in, it's to lead if we are not to fit in. And trying to fit in all those years and feeling kind of judged and scolded and
Hmm.
belittled and 50 other emotions of not claiming my power. Here I am claiming my power. And again, that only took 67 years.
But
So,
it doesn't matter how long it takes. It matters that you do it.
and hopefully I will live another 67 years.
Wow.
Mm.
I'll be visiting you from the other side because I don't intend to live that long.
Well, I know. How are you gonna tell me it's you? How are you gonna tell?
Oh, I'll tell you. You'll
Now we're
know it's
making
me.
dates. Yeah, right. I'm sure. And
You'll
I
know
hope I
it's
don't live.
me.
Yeah, I hope I don't live another 67 years. But life is interesting.
Hmm.
Um, I've been getting nudges about this spiritual stuff for years, and again, just denying it. And I'd get close and I'd start doing stuff, and then either make an excuse of why I shouldn't do it, couldn't do it, can't do it. Oh, if I do it, then people are going to make fun of me, kind of thing. So it's amazing what we do to fit in, and it's even
Hmm.
more amazing how we allow other people to treat us in order to fit in.
Yeah.
That's my realization today.
That was and sometimes still continues to be
Yes.
a difficult realization for me as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, when I tell people that you are my co-host and a paranormal investigator, they go, "Oh, really?" Some people are like, "Well, that's creepy." I'm like, "It's not creepy. What are you talking about?" Other
I
people are
talk to
like,
dead
"Cool, can
people.
I
What's
meet
the
her?"
big deal?
Right? Doesn't everybody?
I think so. I think
Mm.
a lot of people do and don't know they are actually, but that's
Oh,
another
that's probably
topic.
true. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's true. Yeah,
Well, I am happy to meet anybody who wants to meet me. I'm very open, you know that.
yeah. Well, just a short while ago, also, which pushed me in the direction of doing this,
Hmm.
uh, opening up my toolkit and all of my skills, and all of a sudden being flooded with intuition and skill level and stuff has been rather scary. Um, and also eye-opening to the point that I said, I need to learn how to deal with this. I need to know what to do with it,
Hmm.
and I need to know how to handle it because I'm not handling it well. And to the point where, there, oh, I was seeing and hearing things and feeling things, and it was just scary.
Hmm.
And so, welcome to Shamanic Practitioner School, Bobby. Happy birthday to you.
Exactly. Exactly.
Oh,
I feel like I've been doing this for so long that I still get surprises, you know. Sometimes I'll still hear things like I don't know what is going on in this building I live in, but in the middle of the night I am hearing helicopters I can't see. I am like, I'll go outside and look. There's no helicopter in the sky anywhere that I can find, but I can hear them. You
Hmm.
know, it's like I'm tuning into different times, maybe different time frames, or maybe I don't know, but I'll hear voices in the living room at 3 a.m. and I'll go out there, nobody there, nobody I
Hmm.
can see.
Hmm.
All my neighbors seem to be asleep. I don't- you know, um, yeah, it's really interesting because my stuff is opening up more too. And I know that I'm starting at a different level than you are because I've been doing it longer,
Yeah,
but still, it's still sometimes like, what was that? Who's here? What's going on? Who's talking? Like,
right.
you know,
Do I need to pay attention? Are you telling me to get out or
should I
I,
turn on my spirit box so you can communicate more clearly? So, um, yeah, but I have been waking up in the dead of the night, just going, who was that? I'm seeing more shadows. I'm seeing more, yeah, just, I don't know. I'm saying a lot, which is annoying myself, but there are so many new things that are coming to me more rapidly. And is it because we're in 5D now? Because we're in that higher dimension? Is it because I'm more aware? Is it because I'm making myself more available? I don't know. Is it
mm,
a
right.
combination of all of it?
Well,
So,
I don't know. I'm going to lend to you for the answer because you're way smarter than I am on this intuitive level stuff. So be, being a shaman that you are, that you know all of this stuff and have been not been teaching me things. I'm just kidding
could
because
have
I haven't
asked,
asked.
because you could have asked.
I could have. I could have. You know, I heard recently in the 5D realm, the gates of hell have opened up, but so have the gates of heaven. And
Interesting.
we have access to a whole lot more than we have ever.
Mm-hmm.
And keeping yourself integrated and using your gifts and doing the right thing because it's the right thing is the important thing to keep ourselves healthy and happy.
Yeah. That's interesting because personally, I don't believe in heaven or hell.
I'm sure you don't. I
I,
don't know what I believe in terms of
you know,
that. I just
yeah.
think that's it's a whole big energy field
Mm-hmm.
and it's a one big communal thing depending on who's around and what
It
you
really
allow in.
comes down to, are we going to go to love or are we going to go to fear? That's the bottom line.
Hmm. Hmm.
That's really the bottom line, regardless of whether you call it heaven and hell or what good and bad, whatever you call it.
Yeah.
Are we going to choose love or are we going to choose fear?
Yeah.
That's really what it boils down to. And by the way, I'm really enjoying my coffee out of this Breakfast with Bobby mug. So if you'd like one, contact one of us.
Well, I'll show you my pretty little cup that I've had for about
Ooh,
15 years.
nice.
Uh, I don't have my breakfast with Bobby cup because it's in the dishwasher. Sorry.
Oh,
And I have to have this pretty little feminine cup today.
yes. There you go.
Hmm. Because I'm all about being feminine, you know,
Yes.
Miss Tomboy.
I just thought I'd put a little plug in for our mugs.
This mug
This
or
one,
that mug?
this mug.
That
And I
mug.
just realized I glanced at my own image and went, man, my whole face is red. What the heck? Weird.
Well, you look beautiful, whatever
Oh,
that is. You
thank
look
you.
beautiful.
Apparently my inner alien is coming out or something. I don't know.
That's a whole nother
That's a
conversation,
whole, yeah, that's a whole nother bucket of whatever we're not going to open up.
right? Hey, you know what? You mentioned something just a second ago that uh, took me back to one of my journeys.
Hmm.
And I, from my third journey, I met a couple of spirit guides, and one was a female on my left side, and the other one was a male on my right side. And he reminded me so much of one of the therapists that I'm working with. He's a somatic therapy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Hmm.
He does such fabulous stretching. He twists me up like into a pretzel, and I'm almost considering going back to martial arts training at least a few days a week. What do
Wow.
you think of that?
I think that's entirely up to you. I do think, though, that you are probably on a different journey than martial arts at this point.
Yeah,
If you're
I am.
asking my opinion, that's my opinion.
Yeah, I am. I need the activity though. And
Hmm.
I'm not going to lie, it would not be at a formal taekwondo school like
Hmm.
I graduated from. Um, but it would be here and there from the
Hmm.
Y because I have a membership at the Y. Um, and I just wonder what the level is and all of that. I don't really, obviously, don't want to be in the way lower belt class, but I don't want to be put into a class where I have to attend 3 or 4 days a week because I'm a black belt.
Right,
That's a lot.
right.
And I
You,
just need the
yeah.
activity, that
You know what
high.
popped into my head? Tai Chi.
Is that really, yeah, have you ever done Tai Chi?
I have.
Is it cool? I don't know
I
anything
very
about it.
much enjoyed it. It's like martial arts in slow motion.
Huh.
Yeah. A
Do
lot
you
of
get
the
a good
movements
workout?
are very similar. If you're looking for cardio, probably not. But if you're looking for building muscle and trimming, yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. Yeah. I mean,
I have to
I
check
went
my.
to it as a spiritual practice at one point. So for me, it was movement, but it was also a spiritual connection for me. So I didn't look at it as exercise as much as I did um, really getting in touch with my body. That was at a point in my life where I was out of touch with my body,
Mhm.
and I needed to be back in touch with my body. I needed to make friends with my body that I felt had betrayed me.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
Tai Chi was very powerful for me at that point.
Well, I know, when we were doing our shamanic session last week, you did mention some of that. And being in touch with your body is really the key to everything.
Right.
Um, when in my first shamanic journey, when we had to shift our energy and stuff, I realized that I could move energy from anywhere.
Hmm.
And that's the key, once you realize, and your body is your connection to self. And when you realize the big connection of all of that, your consciousness is really accelerated and you can literally heal yourself that way. And
Absolutely.
I commend you for all of that, for realizing that you are so light years ahead of me in that
I don't think
respect.
there's a head or a behind. I think that we have different life
Different.
experiences that teach us different things or remind us of different things or make us teachers of certain things.
Yeah, I suppose.
Excuse me.
So we'll just chat here, myself and the other 7,000 listeners we have, while Christina's clearing her throat. So I just wanted to put in a plug for Amy Walensky and the Golden Light Healing School in Sobieski, Wisconsin. If you have not yet embarked on that journey, it is incredible. If you are looking for healing yourself on another level and moving to the next level for yourself and leveling up, take a look at that and at least investigate. It doesn't have to be that school, of course. There are a number of articles out there and videos that you can watch and gain some insight into what shamanic practitioners do and what the whole shamanistic reality is all about. And it originates thousands and thousands of years ago. It's been around forever, just a very quiet activity that is all about tapping into yourself and helping other people move their own energy and heal them as well. Um, I did find another video out there, and it was called Applied Shamanics, and it explains shamanism in a scientific way, and it is something that you can easily understand. And for the people that really don't know what it is and think that it's woo-woo medicine or whatever, um, years and years ago, that's how we started out as humans. We had nothing else to rely on but ourselves and each other. No machines, but we had animals to connect with, and they all do something different. They all give you a different message, a different energy, and a different healing aspect into yourself. So, for whatever that's worth, take a look at some shamanism articles so that it is easily understood for what happens in the shamanic arena. And it's really all about healing yourself first.
I
So
also
that's,
wanted to say that shamanism is a term that has become attached to Native America, but there are
mhm.
a lot of tribes that don't even
Oh,
have shamans. They have medicine people, but they don't have
yes,
shamans. You know,
yes,
some do and some don't, but a lot don't. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah,
So,
there are all these other tribes, they always have
mhm,
someone in the healing aspect, the
mhm,
doctor, so to speak, someone to help
yeah.
them navigate life when they're ill.
Mhm. Yeah, and the shamanic journey in the tribes that I have been aware of that have them, the Native American groups, um, they are more for spiritual journey. That's more their path is the spiritual journey and
Yeah.
helping people to heal spiritually, where the medicine people are the ones who heal the bodies. Not
Hmm.
that they're not spiritual, they are, but it's
Right.
almost like that's the distinction
Hmm.
that I understand.
And I learned that shamanism is the way that it is viewed in shamanic practice is when you are sick, it is manifested in a physical form.
Yes.
When you are ill, it is actually an emotional healing aspect of your body and mind.
Mhm.
And that's what produces the disease, the dis-ease into your body.
Right. And the healing when you deal with it.
Right, right.
And yeah.
Which is the somatic stretch guy that I go to
Hmm.
will tell me when I have my back issues why I have that, and based
Hmm.
on what's going on in my life, and then we work on that, and he gives me exercises and stuff, and then I try to release that. So it's a whole package. I'm working on my whole life.
Right. Right. And I had a discussion with a friend the other day about how, we've been going through this shift from third dimensional to fifth dimensional. The fourth dimension being time, which I always mention because somebody's going to ask. But the fourth dimension being time, and if you have been paying any attention, time is just wonky all over the place.
Yeah,
So moving into the fifth dimension, we started with probably the spiritual first, and then the emotional, and then the mental as we're moving through shifting up energies. That's kind of the order most people seem to be going in. Now we're hitting the physical because the physical also has to shift into 5D,
yes.
right? So we've got people all over the place, and I get a lot of calls about this. So I know that it's not just one or two people here. As our bodies are shifting into the fifth dimension, our DNA has to change to accommodate that. So we are having weird symptoms, right? We're having weird test results. We're
Mhm.
having weird, and sometimes we get weird test results with no symptoms, and we're just going, huh?
Mhm.
you know, like, what is that all about? But our bodies have to shift too, and because we have been so attached to the physical world and to our physical bodies. That's where a lot of people are having the biggest struggle in making the final shift into 5D is just understanding that our bodies are going to change.
Mhm.
We're going to experience some weird stuff as our physical aspects shift into a higher dimension.
Well, it's
So,
kind of like trying to shove a square peg in a round hole, and it's a tad uncomfortable, and eventually you have to shift in order to
right.
you have to smooth out those edges.
And those who are willing to allow that to happen, because this is
Yeah.
more a stage of allowing than pursuing,
Mm.
is allowing our bodies to make those shifts. And the way spirit was giving it to me is that it's like taking a deep breath in, and when you exhale, you just exhale as you ease into the allowance
That
of the
makes sense.
shifting DNA.
Yeah.
And so many of us are like, oh, I got to go work out. I have to do this and I have to do that. And I have to stop eating this and start eating that. And I hate eating that, but it's good for my body. But the
You're
thing
talking
isn't,
about kale, right?
well, and a few other things. But the thing about shifting into 5D is if you hate the food you're eating, it's not going to do your body any good because that's an emotional thing. Ideally, your emotions have already gone into 5D. So if you pull them back into 3D to try to transform your body, you're going to struggle with transforming your body. You're also going to pull yourself backwards in your progression as a human being. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, when your mind tells your body something,
Mm-hmm.
it pays attention.
Right.
And just like if you tell it to absorb something, whatever, I mean, you can talk your body into doing anything.
Right.
It's so yeah, it
Yeah.
to put it simply, yes.
Right. Right. So a lot of people who, and I'm one of those people who's getting like the weird test results and all that. And I'm just like, I'm the more stressed out you get over feeling off, the more stressed out you get over having a weird test result, the bigger those issues get because it's where your focus is.
Yes.
So if you want to be healthy, you start by shifting your focus to being healthy. And I am a big proponent of using healthy rather than healing because healing, where it's a process, people can get stuck in that process. People can get stuck in the I'm healing this, I'm healing this, I'm healing this, and they never get to the point where they say, oh, that's healed. I feel great.
Well, if you're healing something, you are telling yourself that something's wrong.
Exactly. Thank you. Exactly.
Maybe there's nothing wrong. Maybe that's just the way it is,
Hmm.
unless, of course, you're in pain or
But
something
pain
else.
gives messages too,
Very much so.
you know?
Yes.
Yeah, pain gives messages too. So I'll use myself as an example. Um, since Thanksgiving, my right shoulder has just been not behaving. And I have been focusing on, the stretches, the,
Mhm.
the energy healing, using the poultices and the packs and all that. And what I realize is, what does the right shoulder represent for me? That's where my healing begins.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
where my healing begins. The right side we typically accept as the male side, right?
Yes.
Because we have both male and female sides. So if I'm accepting that my right side is the male side, what is it in my own inner masculinity that I'm struggling with? And I'm bringing this up because these are the kinds of questions that we need to be asking ourselves when we have a physical issue that we don't understand. Because I could go
Yes.
and get an MRI and, spend way more money than I need to find out that I have a soft tissue muscle issue. And all I have to do is rest it and then stretch it and then rest it and then stretch it and then maybe ice it once in a while. Okay, well, I don't feel the need to go spend a couple $1,000s to find out what I already know. You know
Your
what I mean?
your your video, your voice has just turned into someone who was sniffing helium.
Oh, wow, really?
Yeah,
That's crazy.
your voice went really, really fast, and it it sounded like
Well,
yeah,
that's interesting.
it was. So what I know about shoulders is that that represents kind of the weight of the world.
Hmm.
So I would ask, are you bearing some burden?
Always.
Uh, Thinking I shouldn't have asked that. What is wrong with me? Oh my God. Um, yeah, it's the weight of the world
Yeah.
in the male version, male energy.
Which is interesting because you and I have had this private conversation about
Hmm.
how I have just went, I'm done with it.
Yep,
Handle your own stuff.
right.
I am no longer the problem solver here. I am someone who is problem solving for me and taking care of my own issues. And you can't really solve problems. Because if you're focused on a problem, you can't really solve it. You have to focus on the solution. So I'm focusing on the solution for myself
for
and just
yourself.
kind of letting all the other pieces fall. And I have a lot more peace in my heart with that.
Yeah.
My shoulder is still going, but you're supposed to. No, I'm not supposed to.
Yeah, that was your old pattern of
Yeah,
operation.
that was an old pattern of operation that I am now changing.
Hmm. Well, I'm
Yeah,
glad. As long
yeah.
as eventually the other people in your life will hop to it and get the message.
Well, if they don't, I guess they're going to have a rough path ahead.
That's true. Yeah.
I sound so cold when I say that, but you can't help people who won't help themselves.
Well, we are all adults and
Hmm.
we should be making our own decisions
Yeah,
and doing, again, the right thing because it's the right thing.
right. And if you're making crappy decisions, you're going to get crappy results. That's the way that works.
Well, yeah. If you want to dance, you have to pay the fiddler.
That's a weird
My
way of
dad
putting
used to
it,
say
but
that.
okay.
He used to tell me that when I came home from the bar
Uh-huh.
and didn't feel well the next day.
Yep.
There may or
Those
may not have been one or two of those.
those old euphemisms.
I know, right? Yeah. Or anyway, so
Yeah.
we've certainly run the gamut today on a conversation.
We have, but I think it's been an important and very deep conversation.
I agree, and because of the times that we're in, um, we need to step it up a little bit,
Hmm.
and we need to be more compassionate, looking out for each other.
After I just
And
said deal with your own stuff, I'm done.
well, but you are no, no, no. See, you are looking out for them. You are
Yeah,
looking out for them to be mature adults and to take on their own issues and to
absolutely.
solve their own problems.
Hmm.
Enough is enough.
Enough is enough. Yep.
Yeah, we all have to stand on our own 2 feet.
At
And
some point. Yep.
mhm. And when you don't stand on your own 2 feet, then you have to pay the fiddler
Yep.
the
You don't
price.
stand on your own 2 feet, you fall on your butt. That's what
That's right.
happens.
No more dancing. Yes.
Wow. So everybody, please like, subscribe, share. We will be getting the podcast up soon, probably sometime in February since I'm taking a 2 week vacation. But probably sometimes towards the end of February, we should be up and running on the podcast. All of our past episodes will be available in podcast format.
Excellent. So I just wanted to mention to everyone what's coming up next. Marcus Casanich will be back, and he will be back in Wisconsin at the end of the month and into February, I think. So look at the calendars for that and take a look at some of the programs and keep track of what Christine is doing because she's always going somewhere. And my next shamanic journey class will be in April. So I'll have some more stories, some
Awesome.
more, yeah. But in the meantime,
Awesome.
I'm just so we also picked out our mesa. Do you know what a mesa is?
Hmm.
Okay. Then I won't tell you what a mesa is.
Well, you could probably tell the audience since you
I
just
could
brought it
probably tell.
up.
So um, it becomes your toolkit. And we had to bring in um, 3 rocks that we were drawn to. And for each rock that you bring in, you are working with that particular rock, and it becomes a healing tool. And all of your energy goes into that. So you literally work for those to go into your toolkit so that you can help heal other people.
It's a beautiful thing.
Mm. It was very powerful.
Yeah.
My God, I'm a different person.
Awesome. I love
Yeah.
that for you.
Mm. Me too. Me too. It's been a long time.
Yeah. Well, hey, everybody, have a great week, and we will be back. I'm not even sure. We need to figure out our dates again because we took some time off.
We do.
Yeah.
Yes.
But anyway, look for us. We'll make an announcement. We'll put it on the Facebook page.
And we'll post what we can. In the
Yep.
meantime, you guys be healthy, be happy, be safe. Uh,
Absolutely.
take care of your loved ones.
Yep. Take care,
Thanks for
everyone.
thanks for tuning in.
Yeah.
Take care.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.